Hey everybody, little warning before this one starts. We had, a lot of little noises and stuff that I ended up trying to edit out this episode, and occasionally interference or little background noises would happen on top of words, and deleting the word would make the sentence nonsensical. So, in the interest of making sense, I decided to re-record occasionally some words here and there. Whenever you do that, it sticks out like a sore thumb. You never can get the same sort of tone and inflection that you originally had unless you're some kind of, master with your voice. So you're going to hear occasionally me replacing words via voiceover in my own sentences. And I hope that at most these seem like amusingly non-professional and not, annoying. And hopefully they're not obnoxious. But I still think it's a fun episode. It's a fun movie, and I hope that you enjoy it. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Joe Gladding, and with me is my brother Michael Gladding.
Yes.
And I'd like to, on behalf of the both of us, to everyone listening, I'd like to welcome you both to this episode of Please Like What I Like, the podcast where we talk about movies. We recommend movies to each other and then kind of talk about them and go into why we like them and all the things that go along with it. And today we are going to discuss Michael's pick, Guillermo del Toro's 2013 classic, Pacific Rim.
I like to think that I do not ask for much. You don't have to sit with me, look at me, we don't have to touch. You don't have to go for a ride on the back of my bike. Please like what I like. So I've expanded my horizons and seen a lot of great films in the past few years, but after all's been said and done, I'm still pretty sure the apogee of the art form, at least in my heart of hearts, remains Gainax's 1997 film, The End of Evangelion. However, End of Evangelion is a capper for a 26 episode TV series, and I feel like double-digit hour runtimes are too big a time commitment for the scope of Please Like What I Like's mission statement. So we're doing Pacific Rim, a movie that certainly seems influenced enough by Gainax's contributions to the mecha subgenre to scratch that itch, but which is also a singular, unique vision in itself, so that we wouldn't feel like we're settling for a knockoff. Pacific Rim is probably the most I have ever been psyched up for a blockbuster film, as much as I was jazzed for some earlier movies based on things I'd been into since childhood, like Lord of the Rings or Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies. Pacific Rim had me collecting concept art pictures on the internet like a year or so before it came out, and the finished product certainly didn't disappoint me. I'd been into sci-fi stuff and anime since way back, although it's hard to pinpoint when mecha as a subgenre had revealed itself to me as a particularly fruitful tree for juicy sci-fi anime watching. Like a lot of Americans, I had become a fan of Guillermo del Toro when Pan's Labyrinth came out, and subsequently I caught up on more of his films afterward. Devil's Backbone, the Hellboy movies, that one with the watch. I wrote down that one with the watch and then didn't look up what it was. Cronus, I think it's
Is
called.
that
Chronos.
Kronos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was psyched, excited, thrilled to find out that Del Toro was doing a big mecha versus kaiju movie. Joe and I also enjoyed like Godzilla and Gamera and stuff for a while,
Yeah.
so this was definitely a bunch of stuff we liked being done by a director we liked.
I was similarly looking forward to this movie and made every effort to go see it, even though I was on vacation at the time. And I went and saw it at the Arclight Cinema in Sherman Oaks, down the street a bit of a ways from where I live now.
Oh.
And I was lucky enough to see it sitting directly in front of Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman.
Did they seem to like it?
Every time Charlie Day was on screen, Danny DeVito goes,
editing mic here. Let the record show that noise was supposed to be a gruff chuckle, someone laughing to themselves with a gravelly voice. A gruff chuckle, thank you.
That's fine.
It was the best way to see it. I recommend everybody sees Pacific Rim sitting directly in front of me.
I was definitely not disappointed with the movie. It was probably my favorite movie of that year. I was a little disappointed that it wasn't more widely well received, I guess. It seemed like either people wrote it off as like kid stuff, like it was another Speed Racer, or
Yeah.
or people thought it was going to be too like niche for them, I guess. But I think it's a pretty, yeah, you don't have to have seen any mecha stuff or even kaiju stuff to follow the movie or get invested in the movie. You know, it's got a lot of little references in it to make fans of those things excited, but it doesn't rely on previous knowledge of anything. So it's easy to jump into. It's structured a lot, you know, kind of like superhero movies, but also like classic mecha stuff. So it's a good like stepping stone if someone's into like Marvel movies or something like that and wants to get into this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and on the science fiction spectrum, it's way closer to Star Wars and Star Trek. Like, they really go out of their way to not use any techno babble.
Mm.
And every time they talk about the capabilities and what their machines do, it always kind of just gives you an understanding and it doesn't like try to explain. It's just like, oh, they drift, they connect their brains together. They're not like the cerebellum connects to the,
Yeah,
it just kind of picks you up and takes you along.
yeah. The level of like hard sci-fi-ness reminds me of Gundam, where like it seems like a lot of thought went into making sure everything makes sense and how everything would work, but you don't need to understand the inner workings of anything to follow the story.
Yeah.
And there's nobody like jumping in and giving a detailed explanation of how a theory works or anything.
And I was curious of exactly how popular it was, and it's the 16th highest grossing film of 2013. Wolf of Wall Street was the 17th.
Oh, wow.
But there was at least one Transformers movie in like the top 10, you know? And
Is that global or nation?
I believe it was global.
Yeah, the Transformers movies make a crazy amount of money in China. Like even if they don't get well received over here, they'll probably keep making them every once in a while, just because they always make money in China.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but it is a little surprising that Pacific Rim didn't get the same welcome over there, I guess. It seems like people with similar interests would be into both.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm surprised to hear that it made more than Wolf of Wall Street, but I guess globally that makes sense. That Wolf of Wall Street would probably be a tough ask for someone that isn't familiar with American culture very much.
Yeah. But I really like how immersive the movie felt while it kind of maintained a cartoonish and stylized look. So, like, it didn't look realistic, but at no point did it look like fake. You know what I mean? It looked immersive without looking not like a cartoon. And I really love that. Reminds me of like an old time movie. But it didn't, you don't need to make everything look real, you know, to make your movie immersive.
Yeah, it feels lived in despite most of the stuff they interact with not actually being there.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start reading through my list of cool things and thoughts. And you just chime in whenever. So this is basically in order of things as I was reminded of them as the movie went. So in the intro part, before the title comes on the screen, notice that the equipment in that first Gypsy Danger fight already looks worn in and like aged or distressed from use, and it contrasts nicely with the bright and clean digital displays. Like holograms probably don't age, so they all still look nice and tidy, but everything metal looks grody already, and it makes for a neat contrast, but also lets us know that we're not starting when everything began here. Like the monsters have been coming in for a while, or at least the equipment's been used for a while, without having to, put a little chyron at the bottom.
And I feel like that kind of starting, after a certain amount of years into this battle is that it kind of avoids being another Godzilla movie or just another kaiju movie. Like how the most recent Tom Holland Spider-Man, like the first of his 3 movies. What was that one called?
Long Way Home or
Homecoming?
Something? I think.
Yeah, the first one. Whatever the first one
I think they all have home in them.
The first one avoided being just another Spider-Man origin story by having him kind of introduced in Civil War, and this kind of avoided it being another kaiju origin story.
That's true.
By just zooming right by and just talking about the first attack, because that first attack could have been a whole movie.
Yeah.
It says at the beginning that the monster traveled 6 days and 35 miles. Talk about California traffic.
Yeah, it's one of the things that reminds me of Evangelion, is that like Evangelion starts with the first angel having already appeared a long time ago. And in both instances, it kind of allows them to imagine this whole world structured around the attacks, like the attacks have caused a new system around the world to develop, and we get all this world building based on that we wouldn't have gotten if it was starting when the monsters showed up. Yeah, I like how the machines in the intro have the little paintings on them, like there's the dancing girl on Gypsy Danger, and the cartoon kaijus are on the little tanks and equipment on the ground. It's like
like the pinup girls they used to.
Yeah, it's like World War II flair.
Yeah.
And like military patches, which are still a thing, but we kind of associate with World War II, I think. Yeah, gets across a vibe, definitely. All right, still on the first Gypsy Danger fight, the kaiju that kills Yancey has a big blade on its head.
Knife head.
It both reminds me of the Gamera movie where they go to the moon, Giron, I think that is.
Giron, yeah.
That was my favorite one.
That was such a good one. Yeah, me too.
And it also kind of hints at the relationship with the other kaiju, since a lot of them have forms of blades on their head. Like one of the final ones has a sort of like a hatchet-shaped head. There's like a dagger-shaped head one later on. Kind of hints at the fact that they're all closely related to each other before Charlie Day reveals that later.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my first nitpick. Cockpit in the head of the robot. I don't like that. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, it seems unsafe.
Yeah,
it's like an unnecessary vulnerability.
There's some giant robot cartoons where like the robot's controlled from the head, but it's usually when it's an actual robot and not a mech suit, like Gigantor and Giant Gorg, stuff like that. It's usually like real little kid stuff, but the stuff like what they call real robot mecha tends to have the pilot in the like center of gravity torso area, usually with some sort of escape pod as well. Although the head does work as an escape pod on Gypsy Danger, but they don't end up using it, I think, in this movie, right? Maybe at the very end they have the escape pods, yeah.
Well, yeah, they escape. Yeah, they use the escape pods to get out of the...
Yeah.
Right.
But not in the opening scene, but that might just be supposed to like get across that they're still kind of foolhardy at the beginning.
Yeah, they're still fighting it out.
Before we move on to the title sequence, do you have anything to say about the opening fight?
Not about the opening fight, but I did write down a note about the opening suiting up scene. But we kind of covered a lot of it when talking about how there is no technobabble. It just gave like a good visual sense of how the Jaeger works and is piloted without like everybody just talking about it, and it shows that Guillermo del Toro has a really good understanding of what the audience does and doesn't need.
Yeah.
It's like we need to understand how it works, but we don't need data and we don't need to get bogged down with information.
Again, kind of foreshadowing to what I want to cover later, like comparing this movie to Gainax stuff. Del Toro really comes off to me as like a director that's a fan of all the stuff that he works with and like knows what the people that are coming to see his movie want from him,
Absolutely.
It's like a guy that's making what he'd want to watch. I do have a question about the suits that I think I had in later, but I might as well bring it up now since you brought up the suits. I don't think they show it in the intro, but one of the other like suiting up sequences, you see in their helmets, there's like this opaque layer that goes down, and I wonder what that is, and I don't know what it like. Is it a liquid that's clarifying, like the LCL in Ava, or is it an actual solid like guard that's coming down or being removed so that they can see better? No idea what that is.
Yeah, I have no idea either, because it's not a liquid that's clarifying.
Okay.
Because doesn't his mask get broken in the first fight? And there's no like liquid oozing out.
I
Or does
think
it just, or is it just broken after the fight when he comes out with the metal detecting father and son?
I don't remember if the helmet gets broken in the first fight, to tell you the truth. I know he takes off the helmet when he stumbles out.
I remember it is
Okay.
broken.
But, like,
Yeah.
I think that outfit, that pilot suit, is a different model in the opening than in the scene that I'm talking about, though.
Gotcha. You think it's like it gets
Yeah.
upgraded later? I thought it happens in both, but
I don't know. I feel like either I didn't notice in the first one or
mhm.
it happens later on.
Yeah.
Anyway, the title animation, with all the blocks falling away, I think it's a neat representation of the situation that we're in at that point of the story already. Like, the break happens in the middle of the Pacific on that blocky world map, and the world starts falling apart from that.
Hmm.
It starts with the Gypsy Danger icon sinking away, like, in the spot off the coast of Alaska where the fight just happened. Yeah, it sort of, like, visually hints at what happens in the time between the intro and where we pick back up with the story afterwards. Moving on, when everybody's on the wall, the construction crew. I just wrote down that the guys risking their lives on the wall construction are only paid with daily food rations, which I thought gave a good idea of how dire the situation is, even if you're not
Hmm.
being attacked by kaiju on the coast, probably having a hard time surviving.
Yeah, a lot of things probably go out the window when potential Armageddon has been on your mind for
Yeah.
like how long is it supposed to have been at this point? He said he was 16 first.
I think there were 6 years between the intro and the where we see Raleigh again working on the wall. And then, like, the kaiju had already attacked during the intro, so I'd bet it's like a decade altogether since between the first attack and the.
Yeah, so like I'd imagine at that point a lot of different forms of entertainment have kind of gone by the wayside and a lot of money isn't circulating like it used to.
Yeah. At this point, we get introduced to Striker Eureka, which is the Aussie's robot. Striker Eureka is probably my least favorite robot in the movie. I feel like it looks too similar to Gypsy Danger and doesn't, like, have enough of its own thing going on, except that it's, like, less prepared to go through the rift because it's not analog.
Well, I think that that is the point. It's supposed to.
That's actually what I wrote next.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it's supposed to like very quickly visually signify that the Striker Eureka is going to be
The replacement.
like rival. Yeah,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
the replacement. He's the next model, and Raleigh is obsolete in comparison.
Yeah, it's a visual suggestion that Stryker is Gypsy Danger's replacement at this point. So, like, Raleigh watching that interview where it's the dad, right? Is it the dad or the son that's being talked to in the interview? Do you remember? Where he says, like, it was incompetent pilots that was the problem.
That is the son.
Oh, okay.
Herc was the dad,
Mm.
and Chuck is the son. And Herc was genuinely a nice guy who had respect for Raleigh,
Okay.
and Chuck specifically did not.
I thought it was the dad, like, both times that said that, and then, like, when he was being nice to Raleigh later, it's like, he's being civil, but Raleigh still has to kind of prove himself to him. But yeah, okay, he stays a nice guy then. Let's see, at this point, I wrote down that someone in the creative team is a helicopter geek. It seems like every time that there's a chance to have helicopters, there's a helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
Later on, there's like 5 or 6 helicopters carrying Gypsy Danger into the fight, and it just like it looks like.
Yeah, like it seems like they have some sort of modal like way of getting around on their own. Like why do they need 4 helicopters every single time?
Yeah. But like I understand why they'd rely on helicopters in this kind of situation, because there's probably a constant damage to the infrastructure on the ground, and a plane can't hover in place if needed. But yeah, the robot's being delivered by helicopter looks like a grown man being lifted off the ground by like a handful of butterflies or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's very silly.
Yeah, but it's fun.
Absolutely.
So then it gets brought to Shadow Dome and meets Mako Mori, the Shark Forest. It's not actually Shark Forest, but Mori does mean forest, and like Mako reminds me of Mako, like the shark. So
Yeah.
Shark Forest. Yeah, at the early scenes, Raleigh says Mako correctly, but in the last few scenes, he consistently says Mako. I don't know if it's because things are more tense at the end, so he's not thinking about how he pronounces things, or if it's how the scenes were shot.
Yeah.
Like he hadn't learned how to pronounce the name yet.
It's like how Lando Calrissian is the only one who says Han,
Oh, Han, right?
and it stands out because he always calls Han Solo Han, and he's the only one in all three.
All right, at this point, we get introduced to the other mechs, the other robots. My favorite, of course, is Cherno Alpha. What's your favorite robot, Joe?
I also like Turno Alpha.
Mm.
I think it is like the funnest design. It just
Mhm.
looks like a nuclear silo head on like a Mega Man type body.
Yeah, yeah. The bucket on its head is a reactor. Yeah, Cherno was my favorite design, like before the movie even came out, because I was like
Mhm.
looking at all the production artwork and stuff.
I thought the Crimson Typhoon is a cool idea,
Mm,
like the three arms and the triplets,
yeah, but like,
but it's not my favorite.
yeah, it's got 3 arms, but 2 legs, an asymmetrical body plan. Like, there's a reason nature doesn't do that, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But yeah, it is like an original idea for it.
I've never seen it.
When they introduce Crimson Typhoon, they say like it has 50 diesel engines per muscle strand, which
Yeah.
like it must cost billions every time they have to move the damn thing.
Well, yeah, like the fuel alone, but
Yeah.
yeah, like a front end loader just has one diesel engine.
Mm.
I like looked it up. I was like, what is like a big, front end loader
Hmm.
use? And it's just one 2300 horsepower diesel engine.
Yeah.
But like imagine 50 2300 horsepower diesel engines per like little bit of arm.
Yeah, you'd think like that, like if even if you're thinking on the size that they're working on, like one Mack truck can't be that much smaller than a muscle strand in this robot, you know? Yeah, and it's probably got to be a lot of weight from all that diesel. But I mean, these things are ridiculous.
Way too much for 4 helicopters.
Yeah, yeah. We get an annoyingly little amount of info about it. I think in the actual movie, we just get told that it's the oldest one and that they defended the Siberian Wall for 6 years. But you have to like kind of look up extra stuff to figure out how it works and what the vents are and stuff. And even like the pilots had to look up whether they're I wasn't sure if they were supposed to be brother and sister or husband and wife. They're husband and wife. And also, yeah, it has no way to eject. So even if they hadn't been held underwater, they would have died.
Mm. Yeah, I forgot to write down exactly how long all the footage Guillermo del Toro shot added up to.
Mm.
But Alfonso Cuarón and Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu both helped edit the story down to 2 hours. I thought that was a fun fact.
Huh. Yeah, that's neat.
Maybe there was a lot of Cherno Alpha stuff in the original working cut of the movie.
Oh yeah. Are there like you bought the disc, right?
Yeah.
Is there
There's no deleted scenes on it. They probably didn't do any.
no deleted scenes?
Yeah, they probably didn't do any unnecessary CGI rendering because that would be super expensive.
Yeah, but it still would have been cool to see like storyboards of the stuff that was cut.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought the name was supposed to remind us of Chernobyl, and maybe it is, but apparently it's named after Chernobog, the monster demon thing that you see in Fantasia.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and their helmets, you don't get to see their helmets very much, I think only in the scene where they're drowning, but their helmets are modeled after the Scope Dog suits in Votoms, which is a pretty good anime show.
Votoms. Does that stand for something?
Yeah, Votoms. I have no idea. VOTOMS. I'll bet the MS is mobile suit, but I have no idea what the VOTO is. I mean, like, I tend not to think about what
robot names
mean in mecha shows because I feel like a lot of them are just people thought it sounded cool. Moving on to the training arc. When this movie came out, I was like seeing what people thought of it online and stuff. I remember
people complaining
that too much of the movie was the training arc, but rewatching it, I disagree. I think it's pretty
Yeah, I
accelerated.
disagree entirely.
They get a lot of story, and also I like how there's kind of an accelerated buddy cop thing with Raleigh and Mako in that training arc, where they're kind of like butting heads at first,
Yeah.
and then they get more in sync. I kind of love that sort of character interaction where people have trouble getting along at first, and then they're close friends by the end of the story.
Mhm.
And like, it's a lot to ask out of a 2-hour movie to squeeze that in when you have like 3 giant fights in it, but I think they do a decent job of it. It does feel a little fast, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We get introduced to Gottlieb and Newt in the training arc part, and I like that if you pause when Newt does his drifting experiment, it's fun to look at all the random garbage that his machine's made from. Like, there's a sea mine, a propane tank, a bellows from like a not campfire, fireplace. It's a fun mad scientist trope, and it's fun to see it in here. Kind of, it's
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, reminds me of in Ghostbusters, Rick Moranis's like colander device that he puts on his head.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
The drift test where Mako and Raleigh are trying to drift together for the first time.
Mhm.
The observation deck and testing site setup is like exactly like in Evangelion. I'll bet somebody used that as a visual reference. During the drift test, the Aussie dad pilot, you said it was Herc, right? Herc was the dad?
Yeah, Herc was the dad.
I think I call him Aussie dad consistently.
Oh, the dad.
Aussie dad. He brings up that Raleigh's only the second pilot to make a Jaeger move on his own, and this is like way before we get the explanation for what happened with Pentecost, so it's really early foreshadowing of that. Speaking of Pentecost, we get the flashback to him saving Mako in Japan, and this is where we see the crab/lobster kaiju, which is a lot like, this is something I should have looked up. It's either Ultraman or Time Bokan/Yatterman. But one of those old classic Japanese shows with kaiju in it has a monster that looks a lot like this, and it's one of the like most popular among fans of this kind of stuff. You see a lot of like toys based on that lobster monster.
I believe Godzilla fought him.
Oh yeah, really?
If not this exact one, Godzilla fought a lobster monster. I believe it was in one of the MST3Ks that are no longer in circulation.
Is it the Jet Jaguar one?
I don't remember what the name of the kaiju in the Godzilla one was. Let's see.
The monster that Joe's trying to think of is Ebirah, which is Ebi, the word for shrimp, and then the Ra ending that they also tagged onto like Mothra and Gamera. But the monster I was trying to think of was Boltan from Ultraman, and I feel like if you combined Ebirah and Boltan, you'd get the crustacean monster from Pacific Rim. So we're both right.
Ebirah, Horror of the Deep.
Yeah.
Godzilla versus the Sea Monster.
To the Hong Kong adventures outside the Shatter Dome, the scene with Chow and the attack on Hong Kong. I just like how Kaiju Bone Powder is like fulfilling the same niche as Rhino Horn does in the world as it is.
Yeah.
Neither one has any like way they would work. But hey, boner, eh?
You know? If you know, you know.
Hey, if the word's close, then it'll cure what ails you.
That's true.
Those kaiju skin parasites is a lot like in Cloverfield, which also had giant lice coming off the monster. You ever seen Cloverfield?
I have, but I don't remember much of it. I only watched it the one time.
I kind of like Cloverfield. I don't like at the time, I was really down on that, like, what do you call that?
Found footage?
Yeah, the found footage style. Like, there's so much bad found footage stuff that I was kind of disappointed to see a monster movie using that. But I don't think it does it that badly, and I think it's a unique movie.
I think found footage of the 2000s is kind of like westerns of the 50s. Like, they were so prevalent that there's bound to be a lot of bad ones, but when they're good, they're good.
Yeah, it's just a saturated genre.
It's so cheap that you can make it without any skill or endorsement from anybody, so you can do whatever you want a lot of times. It just works out.
I also kind of associate it with the shaky cam idea, which can give me motion sickness when it's used too much.
Yeah, I generally don't think it's...
You got any takes on the Chow stuff? Hannibal Chow?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Hannibal Chow is this movie's Boba Fett.
Yeah, kind of.
He's got a cool character design, but he has absolutely no payoff whatsoever.
Mm.
Pentecost even says don't trust him, and that has no payoff in the movie. The only thing Hannibal Chow does to anybody that is negative in the movie is not allow Charlie Day's character, Geisler, into the private shelter and makes him go into a public shelter, which he would have had to do anyway if he never met Hannibal Chow. So it's not really duplicitous, it's just not letting somebody into your private area.
It's like a neutral act at
so
that
there's
point.
Literally no payoff. He doesn't disobey or disregard or do anything duplicitous. He is in the black market of things, which is in and of itself kind of nefarious.
Yeah.
And he goes about them like a criminal. But in the movie, on screen, he just looks cool and says some cool things like Ron Perlman.
That's
We're
true.
just like, yeah, that guy's cool.
Yeah. I wonder if...
That's all I have on Hannibal Chow.
Like, if that's supposed to say more about Pentecost being uptight, that anybody who's in criminal activities not going to look kindly on. Or if that was originally... like at some draft of the story was going to have more of a payoff, and they decided to have him get eaten by a baby
part
instead.
of it just got edited out.
Like if he hadn't got eaten by a baby, or
edited.
If that scene where he cuts himself out happened earlier, then maybe there would have been time for him to try to screw Charlie Day out of his baby brain or something.
Yeah.
Oh, also back to Cloverfield, the underground public shelter scene is reminiscent of that movie too.
I thought the way that it was filmed was very reminiscent of anime crowd scenes. How you can always point out the main character in an anime crowd. They did that with Charlie Day, but it wasn't immediately obvious. It was just like a perfectly staged and lit scene.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. Like it didn't show him before, it just showed a wide and you could automatically pick him. That kind of reminded me.
Yeah, like in Ghibli movies, they do a lot of like the main character has to push their way through a crowd type stuff, and you never have to Where's Waldo them.
Yeah, and it's always just like a real subtle. Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I just also think it's neat that we get more of like the hoi polloi kind of perspective on things, because a lot of the movie takes place at the Shadow Dome where we're kind of disconnected from the rest of the world. It's nice to get scenes where we see how the rest of the world is dealing with everything.
During this whole scene, that kaiju has around like half an hour of screen time. And to put that into perspective, Godzilla in the original Godzilla movie has 8 minutes and 45 seconds.
Wow, really? 8 minutes? Huh?
Yeah, so one kaiju in this multi-kaiju movie has like a half an hour of screen time.
Yeah, it's like more than 3 times Godzilla.
Yeah. They make him undergo a few like transformations, and like it's interesting the whole time he's on screen.
Yeah,
and I think that's in and of itself is an accomplishment. There is one scene, actually, there's 2 scenes involving this kaiju I wanted to talk about before we completely move on.
Go ahead.
So there's a moment when Striker Eureka takes all this energy to lift the kaiju up over its head and throw it, right?
Yeah,
and he just throws it into the ocean. Like, getting it wet isn't going to work. It came from the water.
Yeah.
Like,
and also the water's going to break its fall.
What was the strategy? He was just like, it took him so long to do it, and he just like threw it into the water. Like he didn't try to like do a backbreaker move or slam it or strangle it or rip it apart. He just threw it into the water. And then,
like I could see that, like if you weren't thinking straight and in a panic, and you're like, my job is to keep this thing that came from the water from making too much damage in the town, then you'd be like, go back in the water physically.
But he threw it coastward.
I don't know. He does a poor job in the scene. Stryker does. Good.
Okay. In March 2010, the average cost of a cargo ship was $10 million. And 2 scenes after destroying one to smack a kaiju twice, they revealed they've had a built-in sword the whole time. They didn't need to destroy a $10 million cargo ship. They have a sword that comes out of their arm.
Here's what I wrote down about the cargo ship and shipping containers. Smashing shipping containers and boats against a kaiju likely wouldn't add more force than a punch from a Jaeger. Maybe the boat would add leverage, but it's still pretty dumb. Yet it's the most memorable visual from this movie for me, and I have a big smile on my face every time I watch it.
I 100. I'm so
Yeah.
happy it's in the movie, but like, it's just funny that literally, like, fighting the same kaiju.
Uh-huh.
It's not a different fight. They have a
Yeah.
sword the whole time. Like, he could have just been using a
Mm.
sword and done more damage.
Well, that's such like a giant robot versus monster trope where like you save
Oh,
the sword until the last possible moment,
fuck yeah,
like Voltron.
definitely.
Uh,
They made the right choice. I just think
yeah.
it is funny. Things can be both funny and
Yeah,
right.
and things could be fun and dumb. All right, so after the drift test, and I think while the attack on Hong Kong is happening, I like that they have the conversation between Mako and Raleigh happening while they're watching the repairs happen. I feel like a lot of mecha
Mhm.
anime sort of hand waves repairs and maintenance where they happen off screen with the notable exception of UC Gundam, where the Gundam needing to be repaired is often a plot point, or like they'll have conversations in front of
Mhm.
repairs like it's happening here. I don't think it's a reference to Gundam. I just think that it's a sign that both.
They're two things that did it well.
Yeah, it's a sign that both writers are enthusiastic about.
Big machines.
You know what I mean? Like a little kid likes to watch
Yeah. Mhm.
construction vehicles and stuff. I don't know. I always like to see that in stuff. I liked it so far in oh shit, what's the director of About My Mother and Women on the Verge?
Almodovar.
Yeah, he does that a lot too. When there's like machinery in his movies, he'll like dwell on it and let us watch the gears turn and stuff. I like that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, it kind of shows that, this isn't just a movie about fighting monsters. It's like the work of an enthusiast for giant robot stuff.
Yeah.
Did the brawl happen here with Raleigh and the Aussie sun? I like the steam pipe thing.
Mhm.
I think that it makes this into a set piece, and it's neat how, like, even when there's little to no CG, we still have some cool things to look at. You know what I mean?
Oh, for
It's
sure.
not just hallways and then CG.
Mhm.
I think a lot of CG-heavy movies are kind of relied too heavy on the CG.
Yeah, it looks like the actors spend the whole time in like a green
Yeah.
box with a camera in front of them.
Yeah, we still get some nice practical sets. Oh, I just like the scene of Newt talking to Chow about his drifting experiment. How he's like, "Oh, I can't tell you about this," and then almost instantly tells him all about it because he's just so excited.
Yeah, he couldn't wait.
Yeah, Charlie Day's great at playing excited characters.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job in this movie of like rising to the occasion of the role
Yeah.
while not fading into the movie. Like, he didn't try to blend in. He brought his Charlie Day energy, but like, it fit his character so well. It seemed natural and
Yeah, the movie makes good use of them. Let's see, I already mentioned the Votom's helmets, but I think also on who has the like piston arm. There's like one robot that has a piston arm, and there's one that has like a rocket arm. I think those are both kind of
the rocket is Russian, I
Ah.
think. So I think the piston is
Striker. Okay, yeah, like piston arm. Big O has done. I don't know if either of these are references or they're just like cool things that robots can do. But yeah, the piston punch thing was a big thing in Big O, which is a fun show. And Rocket punches a Mazinger thing. If you've ever seen Mazinger Z, kind of a classic Voltron style Monster of the Week show. I think it's weird that the kaiju knows to hold a humanoid creature underwater, even though most of its like fights with things have been with mechs that technically don't need to breathe. You know what I mean? Like, it's clearly trying to drown a robot, and I wonder if that means it knows about humans or if it's like instinct and that the kaiju need to breathe. Although a lot of the kaiju don't seem to need to breathe. I don't know.
the kaiju are like a colony hive mind,
Uh-huh.
as Charlie Day said. So, and they would probably just continually collect all information because they're
Okay.
being controlled and governed by
True.
an intelligent force. So the intelligent
Okay.
force probably
Yeah, that
knows
makes
all
sense.
about humans.
I'm used to thinking them as like big animals that have been sicked on them rather than a hive mind that has access to some information.
Yeah.
The check for a pulse gag, I think it's funny, but it kind of goes against the whole we can't just bomb monsters because of their toxic blood idea, because like you're sending their toxic blood everywhere. You shoot
Yeah.
them. Like, it's still a good gag, but I mean, it takes me out of the world building a little bit. I mean, that's about it. I like that Mako and Raleigh you don't have to take it as a romance if you don't want to. Like, it seems like they definitely grow to like each other.
Yeah, it's a love story without a romance story.
Yeah, because I feel like I get
Mhm.
tired of like a trope in fiction where men and women can't work together without wanting to get naked together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they develop a platonic, vulnerable relationship.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, me too. So, yeah, like a large portion of kaiju movies that do have themes, because a lot of the American ones don't have themes. They're kind of just big monster movies. But a lot of the ones that do have themes tend to have themes that relate in some way to war and
Yeah.
some sort of military nation against nation. They kind of relate thematically to. But Pacific Rim
Mm-hmm.
is way more about overcoming divisions like nationalism and tribalism, banding together to tackle more existential
Yeah.
problems we face as humanity. And it's also got the thing of self improvement. And it goes really hard into these themes by completely sidestepping having an overly militaristic vibe. It uses Western ranks like marshal and ranger instead of captain, major, or general. They wear jumpsuits and athletic gear instead of soldiering uniforms. There's not a lot of real life weapons of war shown on screen. I think like there's a few guns, but they're handguns, not rifles. There's no big deal made about the Russian and the Chinese Jaeger teams working together with the American Australian Jaegers, and it all helps kind of keep war out of the mind and kind of keeps you focused on their theme of like working together. And it went one step further by showing how building walls are completely ineffective. And, you know, it's not about national defenses, it's about coming together to face the threat against us and forming a bridge between the two pole worlds, which is only more pronounced now than it was in 2013.
Were people already talking about a border wall in 2013, or was that more of like a 2015, 2016 thing?
I think it was like always kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I remember people saying
really?
build a wall like back when I was in high school.
I wonder if I tuned it out or if I just wasn't exposed to that.
It wasn't as big of a sticking point. It was usually like
it wasn't like a campaign promise yet, at least. Right?
No, not that I recall, not being a campaign promise. But I definitely remembered like build a wall people being around in the mid 2000s. So aside from the presence of that strong theme, another thing that I feel like Pacific Rim did a lot better than most other American kaiju movies, and I feel like the recent Godzilla -1 had this in common with it, was it made me care for the human elements. You know, like everybody had a lot of information that they gave to you relatively quickly. Like, I mean, all the main characters that have, speaking parts. You really kind of get to know them. A lot of information is dropped, a lot of their history is kind of dropped on you, and you really develop a relationship with the characters. So when the characters are in danger of the kaiju, it matters. Whereas, like, I feel, especially most recent Godzilla movie, I didn't care about any of the characters. So every time Godzilla knocked over some buildings every 15 minutes, like, what do I care?
The Bryan Cranston one, or the
Bryan Cranston one is the most recent one I've seen. But like a lot of the time when Godzilla's destroying stuff, it's like in a different area. It's not really endangering that Aaron Johnson guy until the very end. But the most recent Godzilla movie, Godzilla -1, you kind of care for the main character, and almost every time Godzilla is on screen, there is a real life threat to one of the named characters in the movie. And same with Pacific Rim, almost every time the kaiju is on screen, it's doing battle with one of the Jaegers, which is piloted by a named character that we kind of care about,
Yeah, yeah.
And that adds tension, and it kind of adds like a horror element to the movie. Whereas I feel like a lot of modern Godzilla movies coming out of America are just action adventure movies. There's really no tension, there's no thrills, there's no like, oh, I'm scared, It's just kind of like, well, there's Godzilla destroying this building, and then there's Aaron Taylor Johnson in that helicopter 2 countries away.
Yeah, it does a good job of making you care about the people inside the robots, which I think is a thing that mecha as a genre tends to do well. Is not the like people tend to think
Yeah.
of
Flesh out the human element.
like people that don't watch a lot of mecha tend to think of the really little kid stuff like Voltron and Gigantor.
Power Rangers.
Oh yeah, Power Rangers. But yeah, like stuff that you would have seen as a kid, and they do have like Power Rangers does have the sections with the pilots, with the Rangers. But like yeah, it's like most stuff like Gundam and anything Gainax has done is going to have a lot of time spent with the pilots outside of the robots before you really get that much action of the robots fighting each other or fighting monsters. And like it's good sci-fi drama. It tends to be. Yeah, if this was anyone's first mecha experience, you're in for a wild ride.
So another thing that I liked about Pacific Rim and Godzilla Minus One, I recently saw it. I think it was the best movie of the year, so I'm going to bring it another time. Even though the monsters, and in Pacific Rim's case, the robots were CGI, they were still very stylized in the man in the suit kind of aesthetic that the original Godzilla. And those kind of movement mechanics that went along with it, especially the first knife head is a very kind of like lumbering kind of walk, like two guys trying to like operate a suit, or a guy crawling on his hands and knees kind of walk. It makes it kind of look otherworldly instead of just looking like undiscovered Earth dinosaurs like the 2000 Godzilla or the modern American Godzilla. It like looks otherworldly.
Because it's not like a big lizard, it's a vaguely humanoid, vaguely alien, vaguely lizard-like.
Exactly.
And I'll probably say more about the sequel later, but that's something that the sequel really dropped the ball on, is getting the like slow lumbering movements right that really helped to make everything feel huge in this movie. You know, when something's moving quickly, you associate that with, you know, tiny animals like mice and stuff. Hearing you talk about kaiju movie themes makes me want to cover Shin Godzilla with you.
That would be awesome, because that's one of the only
and it's would give me a chance to talk about
see.
Hideaki Anno.
So I look forward to it.
Also, it's just a really unique take on the genre, I think. So when Pacific Rim came out, I remember a lot of anime fans online drawing comparisons to Evangelion, but I'd like to get into that a little bit. Probably the most similar in tone, I think, is the Eva episode, where Shinji and Asuka have to train to move in tandem to fight one of the angels, kind of similar to how the pilots have to be compatible and move in tandem with certain movements in Pacific Rim. There's a bunch of little stuff, like I already mentioned, the observation platform and drifting test site. That's pretty much straight out of Eva. But like the underwater kaiju near the end reminds me a lot of the underwater angel in Eva, the one where Asuka's introduced, especially the shot where it's swimming up to them right before it gets cut hot dog style up the middle. The way the kaiju come in new forms each time, but are all genetically related, is very similar to how the angels work. The apocalypse theme, the lack of support from the pilot groups higher ups in both. Let's see, and the sequel to Pacific Rim made things even more Eva-like by having all the kaiju be drawn to the same location. And yeah, Eva's great. It's one of my favorite things, but the mecha anime that Pacific Rim reminds me the most of is an earlier Gainax anime series, the 6-episode OVA series Gunbuster, aka Aim for the Top. You ever seen Gunbuster, Joe?
I have not seen Gunbuster.
Okay. Well, I won't give too much away in case you want to see it. It's only 6 episodes, and the last episode's one of the best OVAs ever.
All right.
Yeah, the main giant robot, Gunbuster, necessitates 2 pilots working together in a similar way. The 2 pilots, Noriko and Amano in Gunbuster, have to take the Gunbuster into the heart of the Angels' territory. Not the Angels, the aliens' territory, where only it can go. And the endings have a very similar vibe, similar themes, like the pilots are also part of a multinational group in Gunbuster. Makomori and Pentecost have a strictly like foster dad and adopted daughter relationship in Pacific Rim, but there's a kind of similar, but more romantic relationship between Amano and the coach in Gunbuster. I don't think we ever get a name for the coach in Gunbuster. I think he's always just called Coach. But anyway, in both, there's a stern authority figure that develops a close emotional tie to one of the pilots. Raleigh and Noriko both have a death in the family during their stories and both consider quitting. Although that happened, Shindy does have a death to somebody close to him and consider quitting, though, so I guess that's in both. Well, there's other shows that likely had an influence on Pacific Rim, and we've pointed out a few as we went. It's appropriate that the two with the most in common with Pacific Rim came out of Gainax. We'll talk more about Gainax when we do Shin Godzilla. And we mentioned it briefly on Dead Leaves, but Gainax was my favorite anime studio for a long time, so let me talk about them real quick.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of the poster boy for when like a group of big nerds get together to make stuff that they're nerds about together. They started making model kits, like, you know what Gunpla is?
No, I don't.
It's like sci-fi plastic models. It's named after Gundam plastic model.
Mm-hmm.
Gunplamo is actually the thing, but most people just say Gunpla.
I used to have a bunch of Gundam model.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, I made a tiny one recently.
I loved Gundam Wing was my favorite show as a kid.
Yeah, I forgot that you mentioned that one. I need to rewatch that. I haven't seen Wayne for a long time, but
when I was into it, you didn't like it because it was just a whole bunch of like military jargon all the time.
yeah, I'd probably have an easier time getting into it now. I think at the time when that was popular, I remember Toonami also tried to cash in, I guess, by also doing the original Gundam show and putting Robotech back on.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched both of those at the time. So that is about the time that I started getting into mecha stuff more, I think. Although I might have already seen Ava at that point. But yeah, I don't remember liking Wing that much, but maybe I'd like it more that I've seen more Gundam stuff.
It's very talky. It's kind of like Ghost in the Shell, the TV show series, where it might be a little too talky. But for some reason where I didn't like the TV series of Ghost in the Shell, I did like the Gundam Wing.
Do you like the movie Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah, the movie isn't. They're not even comparable. The movie is just so good.
I like the movie, but I like the comic that it's based on better. I think all the anime versions of Ghost in the Shell kind of sap a lot of the character out of it.
Mm-hmm.
The manga's by the same guy that did that Tank Police manga that I lent you.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I recommend that first volume of the Ghost in the Shell manga if you ever feel like reading some cyberpunk manga. If anyone is listening to this and getting annoyed, I'm not saying it manga, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I'm used to saying it. Anyway, where was I? Oh, okay, so Gainax. Yeah, they started off making model kits like the Gundam models, stuff that they're fans of. Ano and I think Yamazaki, one of the other animators in Gainax, worked on Nausicaa, the Ghibli movie, and also Do You Remember Love, the Macross movie, because they were both talented at what's called sci-fi animation, which is usually making convincing big machines that don't actually exist in real life. And so, yeah, they both worked on that. And then Gainax's passion projects with their friends that eventually grew into somewhat successful stuff like Nadia and Ava in the 90s, but in the 80s they kind of had a hard time getting anything out. Yeah, shoot, I feel like I'm going to talk about Gainax too much.
Talk about it as much as you want. It's our show.
There's something exciting to me. Gainax always has budget issues. Like almost all of their projects end up running out of money. And there's something still kind of romantic, I guess, exciting about like seeing a passion project push through running out of money over and over again in creative ways. You know what I mean? Like they don't just give up on stuff. They get things done even though they run out of the ability to put as much into it as they go.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Gainax, the fanboyism comes through a lot. They kind of embrace stuff that was already like overused tropes at the time in like a genuine way. And, you know, they tend to have like what you call fan service a lot with, you know, if they have a chance to show a girl's boobs bouncing, they will. And like, you can look at that kind of cynically as like, why would you spend the time on something like that when the story's not about that kind of thing? But, you know, it's people doing the stuff they like to see. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that same sort of like enthusiasm comes through in Guillermo del Toro's stuff. Like he seems like a big fan of this stuff and also horror and fantasy. Like I was excited to see his take on Hobbit. I was sorry that didn't work out. But yeah, he seems like his enthusiasm for what he works on comes through in the finished product in a similar way to Gainax's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Gainax tends to have budget problems and Del Toro often doesn't. It's nice to see that same kind of like nerdy fanboyism shine through in his stuff in something with like more money behind it than Gainax usually got to work with.
Definitely.
I had like a little list of references that I think I already mentioned earlier. The Votons thing, Euron, Lobster Claws. Gypsy Danger is nuclear, like the suits in Gundam, but I don't remember if that is well, I mean, it's a plot point in that sometimes that suit will get damaged and then explode in a huge explosion. But it's not a plot point in that the Gundam can only do certain things because it's nuclear. I think that is a plot point in Gunbuster, actually. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch Gunbuster. Not that that's a chore or anything. But yeah, that's my Gainax comparison rant. You've seen Ava at least once, right?
I've seen it at least once. I've seen at least a bunch of Evangelion at a certain point, at least once. Because my old friend Christian was really into them when I was in intermediate school. I never really got on board. I don't know particularly well.
Okay.
I think I just had enough animes I was watching at the time, and I never doubled back.
Yeah, that's the same time you were getting like anime VHS tapes and stuff. I remember watching Lane and Mononoke with you. Galaxy Express.
Yeah, Galaxy Express was awesome, but doesn't have giant robots. So.
You ever seen Interstellar?
I don't think so.
the Daft Punk thing? It's cool. I recommend it.
Yeah?
I don't think it's that long. I think it's only like half an hour or so, but it's very like Matsumoto, the Galaxy Express guy, influenced. And the animation's good. Interstellar. Anyway, what's you want to get on to your second rant?
Yeah. I just want to ask a simple question. Where are all the cool movies for big kids? So, like, I don't know what happened in the past, like, 20 years or so, but it seems that movie ratings have shifted so much. And stuff that used to come out with a PG rating now gets PG-13 rating, and the only things coming out with the PG rating are like Disney princess movies or like movies about stuff like that. And then I don't want to use words like masculine or feminine because it's not really about that, but it seems like everything made for people under the age of 13 is cute, whereas everything cool gets marketed to people over 13.
Yeah. I think it's the Marvel effect mostly.
But that's like exactly my point though, is the Marvel thing, because all the Marvel movies get PG-13 or are now comic movies, and like and this movie in particular, Pacific Rim, is like the exact type of movie that I would want to see between the ages of Nick Jr. and Adult Swim. And there's nothing in this movie that like I wouldn't recommend to a kid, really. Like no one really swears. There's nothing really violent. Like there's not a lot of like violence really. It's like so there's a scuffle and then it's a bunch of robots versus monster violence.
Yeah, that's a good point. The only time a person hurts another person is that scuffle.
Yeah, and like it's definitely nothing worse than you would see in Star Wars and New Hope, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, which are both PG.
Yeah.
And it just seems like we're trying to shield a generation of kids from like learning that things can sometimes be scary or hard, and that's not what kids should be shielded about. And,
yeah, I've noticed that.
And like the world is getting kind of angrier and more violent, so protecting kids from seeing those things and learning how to deal with it is obviously hurting more than helping.
Yeah.
And like I just don't know why there's nothing like this that's PG, or why don't they try to make movies for that age group that is a little maybe frightening or a little, it has something to it, something to get kids ready for life. And while at the same time, it's very simple and it's very easy to engage with. It wears a very good message, and it wears it really out in the open. It doesn't hide it from anything. It's just a movie about people self-improving and working together. And like, that's for kids.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. Yeah, I think it's money. The Marvel movies kind of proved that if you take what is usually considered a kid's property and aim it towards adults, that you might make more money. If you get kids stuff and aim towards real little kids, you'll be able to sell more merchandise. So there's not as much of a monetary incentive to go for like tweens, but you'd still think like creators would be trying to get things done just because it's a niche that needs filling. But like even shows like TV shows for that age group tend to get canceled a lot as well. Like recent superhero cartoons tend to get canceled real quick, while superhero and stuff for adults do well. And stuff like Infinity Train was a neat show that got canceled before it could finish its story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like TV shows for either real little kids or adults tend to have an easier time sticking around than stuff that seems like it's for, like middle school and early high school kids.
Yeah, like our most developmentally challenging time. Well, like that was a weird word choice, but like our time when we're developing and things are kind of challenging and confusing.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
But like it's like during the time where we need stuff to like have a gentle guiding hand in understanding the world around us, and like capitalism deprives kids of that.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I don't know if
I just wanted to rant about
much
that
to offer on it.
When I watched it the second time, the whole thing I was thinking about was like, this would be like great for like a kid to like see. Like I really did like its message of kind of like overcoming these small like obstacles. Like every single named character has to overcome something in the movie, and they all have to work together with somebody who maybe at one point you think they couldn't work together. Like even the two scientists have to overcome their differences to drift together into the mind of the kaiju. And like they were barely main characters. They had
an arc.
Little arc that they had to overcome differences and work together. And it's just like, it's a beautiful story, and anyone can see these like positive themes. And anyone of any kind of intelligence will get them, and it would. I don't see anything in it that would necessitate it being a PG-13 movie. There's like a little bit of blood, and like it's not like a big deal. There's been blood in PG movies. I don't know why blood is an automatic move to put an age on the movie.
Yeah.
Parents see it, and they're just like, "Well, I don't know." When it really.
I don't think there's much cursing either.
Yeah,
I don't remember. I
can't remember an instance, but maybe I'm numb to it. But it seems like the kind of thing that, like, I bet it could have been edited out and just made PG. Like, I don't know why that wasn't an aim for the movie to be shared with more people, because it's a good movie and it looks kind of inviting, because like I said, everything looks kind of cartoony and stylized. It doesn't look too frightening in its presentation.
Yeah, and the science, it's okay if you don't understand the concepts or something. It's just a big robot. Yeah, I don't understand why this wasn't PG now that you mention it. Wasn't the Tim Burton Batman movies, were they PG? Do you remember?
I don't recall.
Because I remember seeing them as a young kid.
I can look it up real quick while we're talking.
And that's like something that's kind of fills a similar niche, I'd say. I don't know if it's a very good...
No, the first one was PG-13.
Oh, okay.
So, but maybe that's when it started, I think, what was it? The second Indiana Jones movie, right? I think that one was the first one to be rated PG-13. They invented it.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right.
They were, but like, wow.
I think it was deemed too scary for the PG rating, and they didn't think it would do well as an R.
I feel like PG, like parental guidance is parental guidance. You know what I mean? Like, if you're unsure, just go see it first. Like,
yeah,
it's like parents were like, I don't want to take an active part in what my kids can see. I just want to be told.
I would even say that in today's world, there's so many options for like finding information about the content of a movie before you go.
Yeah.
That the rating system isn't that useful anymore.
And now, the rating system isn't useful at all because people just put the internet into kids' hands and they can just Google whatever they want.
True. Yeah, there's that too. But yeah, like if you're a parent that wanted to feel in control of what your kids watch, there's plenty of resources for that.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that as an issue, but yeah, I agree with you. Uh,
All part of the wussification of America. I'm just kidding.
I'm all out of notes. Did you have more to talk about?
No, that was it. I'm all out of notes as well.
Good movie. I'm glad we decided to do it. I was a little trepidatious about doing a mainstream movie.
I'm surprised at myself that I hadn't seen it since the theater.
Mm.
It seems like the kind of movie I'd watch a lot.
Well, there's a lot to see.
And I remember loving it. I don't remember being like ambivalent. I remember walking out of that theater like that was one of my favorite movies of the year.
Oh, I wanted to ask if you'd seen the sequel.
I did not.
Okay.
It didn't look like I was going to feel the same way about it.
I enjoyed seeing it.
I tend to care more about who makes a movie.
I enjoyed my time at the movie theater. There's some cool robot action in it, even though I didn't like that they moved faster and stuff.
Mhm.
But like as I walked out of the theater, I went to see it with Andrew, and I turned to him and said, the movie felt like it was a sequel made by people who didn't like or understand the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
all
I can
the
see that.
so much of the stuff that I love about this movie didn't carry over to the sequel, and it was made by different people. Yeah, that's all I've really got to say about it. I don't recommend the sequel if anyone's just seen Pacific Rim for the first time and is like, oh, now time to watch the second one. I mean, if you're really curious about it, it's kind of a fun action movie, but I would warn that it doesn't have the things that are great about this movie in it.
Mhm.
And there's lots of great mecha stuff and kaiju stuff to choose from that there's no real need to resort to a subpar Pacific Rim sequel. It's a shame because a second actually good Pacific Rim would be awesome. Or even like an animated spin-off show would have been cool in this universe.
I kind of like it as it is. I think it is a full, satisfying story.
Yeah.
And
It's a good standalone story.
yeah, someone should just make something else. I don't know. Not everything has to be a sequel.
Exactly. Not everything has to be expanded. You don't have to have more of everything you like, because there's plenty to like out there. Does Del Toro have anything recent? I still haven't seen Shape of Water. Has he yet done anything since that?
Yeah, his Pinocchio is one of the best animated movies of the past 10 years.
Oh, Pinocchio! I forgot about that.
I loved it. It's in like the top 10 animated movies of the 2000s. It's really great. I loved it.
Yeah, I still have to watch that too.
Really beautiful. Really, really beautiful stop motion animation.
Oh, it's stop motion? I thought it was CG.
Yeah, I think it's claymation.
Claymation. Get this claymation out of my face. Were you disappointed when he got taken off of Hobbit, or were you not really excited for Hobbit either way?
At the time I was disappointed, but I got unexcited for it once I found out it was going to be split into multiple movies.
Yeah, that was a bad idea.
It's like the book of The Hobbit is smaller than each of the Lord of the Rings books individually.
Exactly.
And I don't know, I'm a lifelong Hobbit fan, so like I didn't want to watch the bastardized version of it.
Yeah, I kind of like the Rankin Bass cartoon version.
Yeah, it holds up, man.
Yeah, that was a good enough adaptation if you really needed to watch instead of read The Hobbit.
Did you watch his Cabinet of Curiosities anthology show on Netflix?
I think we watched a couple episodes.
The ones by directors of other movies I like. Like there's one by the guy that did Mandy.
Oh, okay.
Panos Cosmatos. There's one by Peter Strickland. There's one by I don't remember, but there's a bunch by like good directors who are like up and coming horror directors, and they all do a good job. It's a really great anthology series curated by.
Yeah, I've got it mixed up in my head with the Creepshow TV show. I'm having a hard time remembering which was which.
Oh yeah. I like that one too.
Del Toro at large. Do you have anything you want to say about his other stuff? Or like recommendations or anything?
I recommend everybody who likes kaiju movies in any way to see Godzilla -1.
Okay.
I saw it in like the second row of like a big theater, and it was just such a good experience to be like looking up at this particular Godzilla. They made it so well. It's the best Godzilla movie since like I don't even know the original. It's like it was so good. It's my favorite movie of the year so far. it like edged out a bunch of other movies because I've been going a lot.
Mm.
It was one of the most fun times I've had in the theater.
Mm.
It was great. Like a kaiju art film.
The director of Godzilla Minus One also did a CG Lupin the Third movie that I'm curious about.
Hmm.
You know any Lupin the Third?
I saw the
You seen like Castle Cagliostro?
yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's it.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the only. I know there's a few Lupin the Third things, but I've only seen one movie.
Yeah, the show was on Adult Swim for a while. It's a fun set of characters. Like if you like Cowboy Bebop, it's a kind of similar vibe to the main characters in that show. I haven't seen his take on it yet, but it looks cool. It's got a neat sort of cross between like a 2D design taken to 3D thing. Like it looks 3D, but it doesn't look like a bunch of dolls moving. It still looks like like the 2D.
Yeah, I get that. Like it's just kind of like a third dimensioned out hand drawn.
Yeah. I think he also did a Space Battleship Yamato movie. I think that one's live action.
Oh, I think I heard about that.
But yeah, Godzilla minus zero. Is it minus zero or minus one?
-1.
-1.
Yeah, it is so good. It had like some moments of genuine like horror movie kind of tension, like where
Oh yeah.
there was like a scene where he's chasing a boat, and I found it absolutely thrilling. Like edge of my seat.
Cool. Yeah, that first Godzilla movie has like a sort of horror tone that I think the subsequent Godzilla movies didn't go with. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they became action adventure movies instead of horror.
Yeah.
Movies. Like Aliens in comparison to Alien.
Yeah. The first one is still my favorite of the Alien movies because of that.
I just got it on 4K, and I think it's my fourth time buying the movie because it's probably my favorite of all time. I could watch it every day. Yeah, do you think we did it?
I think we did it. I can't think of anything else to say.
All right.
What would you recommend to people if this was their first kaiju movie or mecha movie? It doesn't have to be movies, could be shows.
Well, I'm a big fan of the whole Godzilla series.
Mm.
I like it. I think when it's good, it's great. And when it's bad, it's great.
Mm.
Like, it's just one of the most fun genres to watch. And I like the old Gamera movies as well. I keep meaning to get around to seeing the Gamera movies of the 90s. I hear that they're some of the best kaiju movies ever made, and I didn't really hear about them until recently.
Yeah, I mostly just know the MST3K ones. But he's a neat monster.
Yeah, like when it's bad, it's funny, and when it's good, it's great.
Yeah. For mecha stuff, because I would say I'm a bigger mecha fan than I am a kaiju fan, though I do like kaiju movies. I would say if you haven't seen the ones I compared this to, watch those, Ava and Gunbuster. They're both, robot versus monster things. If you want to see some robot versus robot stuff, get into UC Gundam. There's a trilogy of compilation movies of the original show that I got on Blu-ray last year. And the first one feels like a compilation movie, but the second and third one, I think they managed to make them into actually well-plotted out movies that are a good watch. The animation's from 1979, and it's from a TV show, so don't expect, Disney quality animation. But
yeah,
if you want to get into Gundam fast, that's a good way to do it.
That sounds good.
And, there's tons of other Gundam stuff you can watch if you like it. Speaking of Gundam, Yoshiyuki
Tomino.
One of my favorite forces in mecha fiction outside of Gainax. So if you like Gundam, I would say seek out some of his other great stuff like Zabungle, Space Runaway Ideon. Yeah, good stuff. There's lots of great mecha out there. If this was your first mecha and you okay with anime, you got a lot of good stuff to watch. All right, what are we doing next, Joe?
Join us here next time for Jacques Tourneur's 1947 film noir classic, Out of the Past.
Yeah, I just rewatched that on Friday, and it still got all the best stuff that noir fans want. It's a great time.
Yeah, I think it's
a good introduction to noir.
Yeah, it doesn't get brought up as much as Maltese Falcon and Double Indemnity, which I feel like does what they do just as well, but better at certain things.
Mm.
And really dig it.
Okay. I enjoyed Double Indemnity a lot too.
Oh, hell yeah. Billy Wilder's one of my best.
But yeah, when I first tried to get into noir stuff out of the past, was one of the first ones that really clicked with me. Yeah, I like it. And anyway, we'll save that for when we talk about it on the show.
Absolutely.